friends, strangers, internet. My name is EmilyHanhan. I love colorful makeup and colorful language. Welcome to my channel, or if you've been here before, welcome back. So glad to see you again. I want to talk about the problem with Lizzo's new brand, Yitty. Now, if you like colorful makeup, if you like bitches with lots of opinions, or you're just here for the cute fat babes, I hope you will subscribe. I also have a Patreon and a YouTube membership, both of which are linked in the description box and are fantastic ways to support me further. So, the problem with Lizzo's new brand, Yitty. It's not Lizzo. It's the industry. Let's dive in. So, if you were not aware, Lizzo launched a clothing brand as of April 12th, 2022. It is a kind of shapewear focused line, revolutionizing the shapewear world is what I'm taking from the marketing. I feel like I've seen leggings and tops and bodysuits and bras and bralettes and underwear. And so it's like one part under the clothes, one part over the clothes. They are clothes kind of clothing line. Here's the thing. This industry is so fucked up. The plus size fashion industry is an onion of fucked up layers, and you just keep peeling it back and finding new things that are fucked up. So for me, I came into this with a very, very big dose of skepticism. Here's the thing, I love Lizzo. I have seen Lizzo twice. I have seen Lizzo live twice. I'm not a very religious person, and they were very religious experiences. I would happily see her again many times, pandemic willing. I enjoy her music. I enjoy her presence. I am grateful that I am alive on this planet when Lizzo is here. But I'm also 37 years old, and I have been fat my entire life. I did not expect much from this line. I just knew that no matter what, Lizzo is still a celebrity. She is but one person, and this is an entire industry. And there is still diet culture and fatphobia entwined into this industry and everything about it. So I wasn't expecting Yitty to just like change the game. But I do have to admit that I was a little hopeful. I was skeptical, but I was hopeful at the same breath. But this industry is the problem. I also studied clothing design in school. I studied clothing design and marketing and the science behind textiles and clothing patterns and print design, and like my program was very kind of diverse. But like I created patterns, I've graded patterns, I've sewn things and tailored them to people's bodies. I've done all this kind of stuff. I hope to never do that again in my future. But all of that, my schooling and the work in the industry I did for a short amount of time, and my life as a fat person has made me very, very jaded. Jaded is the word. The thing that the biggest annoyance that I have, and this is not just a plus size issue, this is a women's clothing issue, and it also is, I guess, an issue for men's clothing, but I have less exposure to that, and more of men's clothing are done by actual measurements. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. The problem is that there is no standardized sizing. There is no standardized sizing. So the biggest complaint I personally have, and I've seen people have, with Yitty is that it advertises it as a 6X to, I think, extra small. Now, I am here for using the biggest size first, totally intentionally done by Lizzo, and I love it. The thing is that the kind of 6X it is still small for, I think, the market and the industry. So it is a little bit deceptive in that way, in that people that saw 6X thought they might actually have an opportunity to purchase clothing from this brand. And then it seems to be the case that most of the 6X sizing in this brand runs small. But the thing is that there is no standardized sizing. So what a US size 12 runs in 10 different brands is completely different. What a size 2, what a size 22, what a size 32. It's all completely up to the brand, the company, whoever is in charge. Like, this is why so many people want people to understand that the sizing number does not matter. And please do not let the size that you think you are affect how you feel about the clothes you buy. Because yes, you might be a size 2X at 4 different brands that you're used to shopping for, but you might be a 3X at Fabletics, or you might be a 4X on Shein, or you might be a 1X at Old Navy. Like, there is no standardization. So I do agree that when you are comparing Yitty to like Torrid or Lane Bryant, the 6X is small by the measurements. And I do find that disappointing. I find it disappointing because I think that for such a, big launch, having that number at the forefront, all of these things, I do feel disappointed that it's not true size. Really, really how I want to put it is I feel disappointed that these clothes do not run as big as I hoped they would, because it is so hard, difficult, rare to find anything above a 3X in general, and to find it in a mainstream way, possibly in a mall, because this brand is being sold in Fabletics stores. Like, the possibilities of what this could have represented are huge. And I do think that they missed the mark in terms of their sizing. But when you think about it, in some of the criticism that I've seen, and I have not delved super deep into it, but I did see, I've seen a handful of people talking about it. I know there's a lot more criticism. I'm not coming to you super well researched. I just kind of wanted to put my thoughts out there and my perspective and talk about it with y'all. But if I can put them in, I may try to put in a couple of TikToks that I've seen. If I can't, I will link to them or do some screenshots that kind of show what they've been talking about. The reality is that I do think that as a 6X, it runs small, and it's not as big of a size range that I wanted it to be, and the entire line does not go up to 6X. And that also felt like a bit of a shock to the system, where I was like, okay, so I don't love that. I don't love that. But the other part of it is that, if I had to be honest, just seeing the fact that the brand was being created by Fabletics was like a red flag enough for me, because I feel like Fabletics has had has taken up this space in the plus size influencer space of like being accessible, and I don't even know if they use the words inclusive, but you will see smaller fat influencers promo the shit out of them, but so many of those influencers' audience can't even appreciate the clothes. And you know, that's also probably a bigger criticism on fat influencers as a whole, and fat people on social media with platforms, but that's probably a video for another day. Yeah. But I do think that like the fact that it's Fabletics owned, that was the first thing that made me go, yeah, I'm probably not gonna be super into this. And it, you know, I think design-wise, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the colors and the patterns, and like I want it. But for me, I decided that I was going to skip the first like launch of buying and just kind of sit with it and see what other people say and just kind of sit with it. I didn't feel inherently positive about the launch when it was first revealed, and I've continued to feel iffy about it as time has gone on. And I would love to see the brand push the boundaries of what they're offering and continue to grow, you know, the size range and actually, first of all, fully reach that 6X sizing with the entire clothing line, and then also perhaps compensate a bit and keep growing that size range. But I also just have so much frustration with this trend as a whole, because I think that's one of those things that, again, I think this is an industry thing and it's not just about Yitty or even just about Fabletics. There are so many brands that market themselves as inclusive, and especially size inclusive, or we make clothes for all bodies, that stop at a 3X. But, spoiler alert, when you look at their size chart, their 3X fits more like a 1X. Yeah. That's the part of the industry trends that really boils my blood, because it's just another marketing gimmick, and it's not actually inclusive, and it's not actually fighting against fatphobia to make clothes more accessible. And I am very thankful that I haven't seen all the marketing images. I haven't looked at every page of the site, but I will say the thing that I have not seen with Yitty is phrasing like clothes for all bodies. Savage X Fenty, I am talking directly to you, but also so many of these brands. So many brands will say, we have clothes for all bodies. We are inclusive or size inclusive, but like in particular, clothes for all bodies. That is, never say that. Never say that. Because you are covering a breadth of people that you actually aren't making clothes for, because it's kind of fucking impossible to make clothes for all bodies. Because even if your size range is extra small to 12X, your clothes still might not work for somebody in that size range because of the fits or the cuts or the pricing or the fabric or their location. Like, just, it's not a useful marketing technique to me because it's a blatant lie.
So, correction. As I was pulling the screenshots from earlier in the video, I do see that Yitty uses the clothing for everybody terminology, which I do not love.
And then you have brands like Fenty, Savage, they are like, to me, they were one of the most annoying and frustrating proponents of that because their sizing fucking sucks. And they had a lot of people wearing their clothes that, in my opinion, those clothes didn't actually fit on them, but to present themselves as inclusive and so game-changing and mold-breaking that it actually, yeah, I probably had an end to that sentence that I forgot. But I also don't want to frame this as Savage versus Yitty, because that's not what we're here to do today. I have a lot of complaints about Savage, which I probably should have just voiced those in a separate video. So I don't want to frame this as Savage versus Yitty, but I do want to say that the trend of having a size chart that looks like it's more expansive for marketing purposes is very much a trend of this industry. And I think in the scheme of like the most egregious to the least egregious, I find Yitty falls further down on being less egregious. It's still an issue, but when you compare it to a lot of these brands, especially the way these brands market to this smaller, fat, extra large, 1X, quote unquote, mid-size, fuck off with that phrase, by the way, that those brands and how they market versus what they actually offer, like that's an issue. And unfortunately, Fabletics and Yitty have just continued to perpetuate that. So yeah, it's unfortunate. I feel as if there is so much good that's coming from this release. This is kind of me assuming. I think that there is good that's coming from Yitty hitting the market. I'm excited by it. I am tentatively curious to try the brand in the future. I think that the colors and the patterns draw me in, but I think that it is something that we as consumers need to pay attention to, is how these brands market these size ranges and how honest or dishonest they are in that marketing. We as consumers, we can't change everything. We cannot control capitalism and the way these businesses churn out new lines and new things and all of that. That's not really what this video is about. But I just wanted to talk about these bigger issues within the industry and the ways in which Yitty has played into it and the ways in which they have done, in my opinion, some good for it.
So I completely forgot to talk about the predatory subscription model that Yitty is doing because they are owned by Fabletics, because that's what Fabletics does. Savage does it. Adore Me. So many of these companies have been up to. So I am going to link my dear friend Audra's video on Shoe Dazzle, which is a different part of the industry but relevant conversation, and any other videos that I can find that seem relevant to the issues. But if you would like to see a part 2, leave me a little shopping emoji, and maybe I will come back to rant more about this situation. But that was one more part of the Yitty launch that definitely disappointed me.
If you're sitting here and you're like, okay, what's the point? What should I take away from this? I would just say that if you are not a person that needs to kind of religiously look at size charts and make sure that there are things for you and that these things would fit, and you have friends who are bigger than you, just be aware of these industry-wide issues before you tout certain brands as being so inclusive or recommend them to people or whatever. Because in a moment of trying to help or be positive about a situation, in a moment where that's what you're trying to do, you can instead make fat people in your life actually feel more alienated and more upset about it, because you've either recommended a brand that they go to check out and find out that it doesn't actually work for them, or it's a brand they already know, like, that's not gonna work for me. It can just be sad. It can be sad when you're like supposed to be all hyped up and excited about something, about new designs or, you know, breaking the mold or all of these things that are used in marketing ways for new brands, especially from celebrities or influencers. You think that you can finally get excited for this new thing that everyone else is getting excited about, and you think you can finally be kind of a part of the cool kids, and then you find out that you can't, because it was all marketing BS and no truth. Anyway, I think I've made my point. I'm kind of running out of words, and you know, like I said, I just wanted to talk about this. I would love to get your perspective. If you've picked up any pieces from Yitty, I would actually love to hear about them in the comments, or if you have any thoughts, feel free to share them. I would love to especially hear from other fat people, other plus size people. But, you know, if you are not fat, if you are not plus size, and you have thoughts, just be respectful of maybe how you talk about it and the space you take up. I don't know what's going on outside, so it's Easter Sunday, people have lives, and I'm upset about it. All my neighbors are making all kinds of noise, so I don't know where I'm at now. I just want to thank my patrons and my YouTube members, and if anyone feels like coming over and joining, I would love to have you. You can definitely also subscribe or like the video, share it out. All of that is such a big help. But most importantly, don't forget to take care of yourself better today than you did yesterday, because you are worth it. Bye, friends. So the problem with the brand Yitty. God, I can't say it like that. What? Editing Emily, save that for the bloopers.